Hello, my son. Come on over. Who are you? Where do you come from?
Oh, Father, Father, can you give me some water? Please, please, Father. I need some water. I am a shipwrecked victim. I was marooned on an island and rescued and brought here. My name is Lona Lacalona, and I used to live on at this house many years ago.
Oh, I see. How about we go over to the porch and have some ham and eggs?
Oh, Father, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Is Sister Margaret still here?
Oh, I'm so sorry. She died years ago.
My mother was an American missionary from Kansas, and she was stationed here on this island, here at this house, at the mission house. My father was a flesh-eating cannibal who lived in the native village on the south side of the island. One day, my mother went over to the edge of the jungle to smell a flower, and he kidnapped her, took her back to the village, and made her his wife, much against her will. And I was born from that union. From the time I was born until I was 8 years old, I too was a flesh-eating cannibal. I ate human flesh, Father. I used to be proud of that fact, but in recent years, Father, I'm so ashamed of it. And Father, I know it was wrong. One day, I slipped out of the village, ran through the jungle, and came up here to the edge of the jungle to spy on the missionaries. One of the missionaries saw me, slipped up behind me, grabbed me, and pulled me into this house. They tied me up so I wouldn't escape and run back to the village. Later, they taught me all about the church. They even baptized me. Yeah. In time, they taught me they taught me English, and they taught me how to read and write in English. And they also taught me about numbers and how to add them and subtract them. One day, Lieutenant Tim Smith came to the island. He was an American GI from the Vietnam War. Oh, Father, my head is a terrible headache from the trip. And he saw me, was impressed by me, and with the full permission of the missionaries, he took me back to Vietnam with him. It was during the Vietnam War, and back to Hanoi. When we got to Hanoi, he enrolled me at a boys' private Catholic school, and then he went off and left me. And he would come back and forth to check on me periodically, and but one day one day, Monsignor Ed called me into his office, and he told me that Lieutenant Smith had been killed in action. I was devastated. That night I ran away from the school. I lived on the streets of Hanoi. I was a beggar. I lived the life of a homeless person. I would beg for food and money and water. Oh, it was a tough life. But one day I wandered into the open door of a men's weightlifting gym. And it was run by a guy whose name was Jacques Muldoon. And Jacques Muldoon gave me food and water. And then he gave me a job. He made me the janitor, and it was my job to keep the gym clean. Later that year, we had to evacuate. You see, the communists were coming in from the north, and the Americans were leaving. It was the end of the war. So Jacques and I closed the gym, and we caught a plane, a helicopter, a big helicopter, to evacuate us. We was lucky that we got that plane, because a lot of people didn't get out. The plane took us to Honolulu, and in Honolulu we caught a plane, a big plane, and crossed the Pacific Ocean, and we arrived in San Francisco. And in San Francisco, we caught another plane and flew to New York City. You see, New York was Jacques' home city, his hometown. When he got settled, Jacques opened a new gym, and it was very successful. And in time, he opened a nightclub. Well, I grew closer to Jacques. I got a little older, and he made me his assistant. And then I got a little bit older, and he made me his son. He adopted me. He went to court and legally adopted me.
I've always wanted a son, and you fit the bill.
I grew very close to Jacques. He taught me everything I needed to know about life. And he taught me how to run the business. He taught me how to talk to people. He taught me all about women. You see, every weekend, Jacques would go to the whorehouse. And when I got to be 14, he would take me with him. And I learned everything about women from Jacques and the whorehouse. In time, I wanted to be so much like Jacques. I wanted to be him. I began to dress like him. I began to talk like him. I began to lift weights like him. You see, he made me into a big bodybuilder. And so I became Jacques. Today, you're looking at me, you're looking at Jacques. For a long time, I suspected that Jacques was involved in a little bit of underworld activities, because, at one time, I think he tried to get out of it, but they wouldn't let him. So one night, this guy came into the nightclub, opened the door to Jacques' office, and found Jacques sitting at his desk. And the guy shot him in the head and killed him. The guy tried to get out the back door, but the night watchman shot him in the back and killed him. I got caught in the crossfire. Somebody shot me in the hip. And yeah, that's how I got this permanent limp So for anybody who wants to know, that's why I limp. Jacques left me everything. He left me the nightclub. He left me the gym. All of a sudden, I found that I was a millionaire. At first, I didn't know how to be the boss. I didn't know how to be the authoritative figure. But I happen to remember one thing Jacques said a long time ago. He said,
You want to survive in this world? You gotta get tough.
if you want to survive in this world, you gotta be tough. So believe me, I got tough. Oh, one night, this beautiful dame walked into the nightclub with a group of people. They sat down at a table, and I went up and asked her to dance. She said, yeah. Oh, and for the next 10 months, I was in paradise. Oh, you see, most of the dames I had known up to that time were prostitutes, and this girl was soft and feminine. She wasn't hard or rough like the prostitutes. She was naturally beautiful, especially when the wind blew in her hair.
We'll have Manhattan, the Bronx and Staten Island too. It's lovely going through the zoo. It's very fancy on old Delancey Street, you know. The subway charms us so when balmy breezes blow to and fro. And tell me what street compares with Mott Street in July. Sweet push carts gently gliding by. The great big city's a wondrous toy, just made for a girl and boy. We'll turn Manhattan into an Isle of Joy.
Then, one night, she announced to me that she was married and she had to go back to her husband. Oh, I was devastated. She left me and flew home to her native town in Louisiana. I followed her. And do you know, Father, that when I got there, she absolutely refused to divorce her husband and marry me. Now, Father, imagine, I had been a stud. I had been a ladies' man, a roue, a man about town. And I'd never been refused. And now Mary Jane was refusing to marry me. That really pissed me off. I flew out of there and flew back to New York. I tried to do this. I tried to do that. But life was so empty. I even bought a ranch down in Texas. And I spent a lot of time down there, in spite of the heat. Father, do you mind if we change the subject? I'm still too close to it. Let's talk about something else, please. For the last few months, I wanted to come back to the island here. I wanted to go back to my roots, to see if my real mother and father are still living. I want to pull them out of this squalor. I want to build a hospital for their medical needs with the money I have. And I'm going to do just that tomorrow. So I caught a plane from New York and flew to Honolulu. I flew back to Honolulu after all these years, and I hired a boat crew to bring me back to the island. And we got south of Tahiti, south of Bora Bora, and south of Pago Pago. And then we got into the Society Islands here where we are. And we got into a storm, Father. And we was washed ashore, and we was marooned there. I don't know how long we were marooned there. But when we didn't come back, the boat company sent out a search party for us, and they found us. And at my request, they brought me here to the island, and they took the guys on the crew back to Honolulu. So here I am, Father, where I was when I was a child. And I miss Sister Margaret. I feel her ghost here, but I know she's gone. But tomorrow, I'm going back into my village. I have to. I just have to. Well, Father, I thank you very much for everything. I'm wearing my old brass skirt, which I found in there. I wore this when I first came here, when I was 8 years old. It looks like it's done a lot of shedding. It's shedding now, I think.
I was wondering about that.
Well, Father, I'm gonna go now. My people may reject me. They may kill me, Father. They may even eat my human flesh. I don't know. But I have to go, Father. I have to go. Bye-bye, Father. Thank you.
God bless you. And people do what they have to do.
kill me. Don't kill me. I'm Lona Lacaloni. I'm Lona Lacaloni. I'm the little boy who disappeared from the village when he was 8 years old. I was kidnapped by the missionaries. I can't talk to you in our native language because I've forgotten it. I've been away for so long. And I can only talk to you in English. But please, let me come back. Please let me come back to my tribe. Please, please. I know you. I know you. You're the spitting image of the little boy I used to play with when I was a little boy and lived in the village. Don't kill me. No, please. Take me back. Take me back, please. Take me back. Take me back. Ah!